What's up? We're back today. Keep it moving. We got a quick episode. We're going to keep it short, but we're also going to put a little information in it. So a lot of times you'll hear me mention subtractive editing. That's my favorite thing to do. Also driving music, not just stuck in the box of hip hop. I mean, that's a true love for me. But also, driving music that makes you, get in your feelings or feel a certain way or work out problems or whatever it is. So I made a beat, and I made it specifically with, I'm going to say, probably 8-9 tracks, too many parts, but I kept every part like I was telling you before. And then what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll implement them at different times in different places. So the first thing I'm going to do is play you the sequence, like what I talked about. So when I make a sequence, this happens to be 8 bars instead of 4. I only doubled it up because I had a string part that I wanted to be 8 measures instead of 4. Everything else was 4 measures. But when you have a sequence, what I like to do is I'll just kind of mute something if it doesn't go with something else. So I'll still keep the track that I'm feeling, that I'm recording, that I'm working on, and I'll mute it and I'll move on. Maybe 3 or 4 work together simultaneously, but then you have 2 or 3 tracks in there that are kind of just doing their own thing and they have their own vibe. Don't get rid of those. Keep them. You're going to see how I utilize them differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play sequence number 1. This is a 100 BPMs. This is one single sequence with 9 tracks. And if I unmute everything, tracks 1, 2, yeah, okay, and I play them at the same time, it probably has 15 tracks, but we don't count drum tracks individually or whatever unless I have to go through and do a lot of effects and compression and put limiters and all types of stuff. But for the purposes of the example today, I'm going to play you this and you're going to say, whoa, it's too much going on there. And then we're going to break it down into how it can be utilized. Each part can play a role. So first I'll hit play on this. Okay, so that was our 8 bars right there. And so many people will do that and then just let it hit repeat, and they don't structure it out in the song mode. Or they'll say, all right, I'm going to get rid of these couple tracks just to keep it simple. And I'm good with that. I do that sometimes. But there's other times you need to go ahead and put the work in and actually put it in a song format. So you have an introduction, you have a verse, you have a hook, you have a verse, you have a hook, possibly a bridge, you have a third verse, a hook, an outro, a song, instead of just a beat. The beat gives you the feel. You can write to the beat, you can let it loop, you can mute certain tracks and just say, I want to write to the drums in this or whatever. But when it comes time to record and have a finished song, you have to structure it. And my favorite way to do that is subtractive editing by far, because I keep everything and I get rid of what I don't want. And if I want to add something on a different sequence, I can add something. And if I want to take something away, I can take something away at any point that I want, simply by taking the first sequence that has everything and copying it to like 8 different sequences and then naming them and putting them in order. We will go to the intro. So out of everything you heard, this is how I brought in the intro. The intro is 8 bars. Okay. Then that was just me editing everything away except that for the intro. Then we'll go to verse 1, and I'll hit play. This is all off the first sequence you heard. Okay, so there's verse 1. You can see it has some breaks in different places where I took away the drums, or I took away the cymbals, or I mixed certain sounds, and it's all cohesive. It all kind of sounds the same. But then we get to the hook, verse 2, verse 3, hook. There we go. So this is how I structured the hook. And a lot of times when I structure a hook with subtractive editing, I get the hook exactly how I want, and I noticed that there's not always a smooth transition between it jumping from the verse to the hook. So at the end of the verse, as far as the 16 bars, at the end of it, sometimes I'll just go in and I'll tweak a little something, like I'll take out the cymbal and the snare, like right at the end or something, so that when the hook comes in, it kind of jumps on its own, and it's not such a sharp drop off in the range between the vibe on the verses and the vibe on the hook. So here's what the hook sounds like. I like to keep the hook simple so that the artist can shine and that their vocals can be a little bit more powerful. Okay, so that right there is a 8-bar hook instead of, having the 4. I want room for myself. I was thinking of myself when I write. A 4-bar hook is short when you're bringing lyrics or lyricism. If it's more of a rah-rah party vibe thing, then 4 bars is perfect and it's back to rocking out or whatnot. But when you might have a message, you want to have 2 4-bar things, maybe each one of them ending with the title of the track or whatnot. There is no real rules if you're making it just for you, and just keep doing that. But I'm saying, as far as, if you want to get down to them and structure, that's probably the best idea you can do. Repeat that title, repeat that theme, get that hook sharp, and have it shine through the mix. All right. Verse 2. All the verses are similar but have different breakdowns and different points. I can always go back, and when I write my lyrics, I can put the drums back in that I took out simply by playing them real quick for a bar or two or whatever. Or if it happens to highlight where I want it to highlight, or it just sounds really good or something, then I'm going to leave it the way it is. But you do always have the option when to add more, to take away, and it's very fast. It's very effective. Here's verse 2. That I put a little bass in there. I wasn't going to put the bass in there, but I decided to put that bass in there, and that worked out pretty well. So if you notice, verse 2 has more bass as far as a sub bass hitting on top of the kick drum. The kick drum, I did spend some time putting some effects on as far as I shortened it a little bit, sharpened it up, and then I went in and I messed with the amplitude, the attack, and the pitch. So if you were to listen to that drum track, well, you're going to hear it right now, because we're going to go to verse 3, and you'll hear the kick drum, not the sub. The sub will kind of block it out some for you. But what I did was that kick drum is the same kick drum, the same pad the whole time. But when you go in and you mess with the amplitude and you mess with the pitch and you mess with the attack and you start messing with it, every couple times that it hits, it's in the same. It's like it's in the same key, but a different pitch, or something's going on where it changes, but it doesn't sound bad at all. And I really liked how it sounded like I was using 2 different, sometimes 3 different kicks, and it kind of added to the drum mix. And I left that on there specifically for verse 3. On verse 3, I wanted to. How would I say this? I wanted to go hard on it. I wanted to go in on verse 3 as far as give me some drums, give me a main track, and let me get after it vocally. Like, just hit it and just keep going. Like chopping, just going. I think, yeah, I got to save, excuse me. I've got to go in and change the preset on my autosave, because every once in a while I'm doing a podcast and I still haven't changed that autosave, and I'll go to hit play and it'll say, oh, I'm autosaving everything. So I'll be like, stop it. And there's nothing I can do about that. But in the meantime, we'll discuss the outro. We'll get that done before we even get to it. So on my outro, I have this thing where I always want to take the last of it and let it have a long decay. So it's real important that when I convert the sequence and turn it, in song mode, if you do this, you know what I'm talking about. So you're in song mode, you convert the sequence, you save it, you go to export it. I want to put that audio tail on there. And then I try to use a sound, the last sound you hear, and let it decay slowly. Let it finish its full waveform so that it kind of ties the song off. And I might start with 3 or 4 sounds, usually take away the drums and leave like some type of mental vibe in the outro that kind of summarizes an emotion, and then I'll go ahead and break that down to the very last thing that I think somebody should hear for that song that you might not have really been vibing on throughout the whole song. And you say, oh yeah, I do remember hearing that in the whole song. I like to put little sprinkles of different things in there that are hidden in each mix. And sometimes I do that on the outro. Sometimes I do it on the intro, sometimes both, sometimes only in one verse. You don't know where you're going to find it. But oftentimes you'll be like, well, that wasn't in the rest of the song. That was just on verse 2. That was sick. Why didn't he do that for the... Because if you overdo it, especially when you're dealing with loop-based music and you're doing subtractive editing, you realize that it just becomes too repetitive. Like the strings in this one, for instance, are dangerously close there. I can go back and mix them out. But I did that in the intro to kind of showcase that and keep it quick so we could get it done today. I'm going to play verse 3 because it's done now, and then we're going to play the outro, and then I'll go into song mode and show you what happens when you put everything in order after maybe say you listen to verse 1 and then the hook. And you said, oh, it needs this right before it changes. And then you listen to verse 2 in the hook and you say, I'm going to use this. And you get all that done. You just go ahead into song mode and you hit, yeah, I'm going to use about 8 or 9 sequences, and you just go, you already labeled them, you already saved them. You do your intro, your verse, your hook, your verse, your hook, your verse, your hook, your outro, and you're good, you're done. All right, verse 3. More drums, less instruments at the same time so we can highlight vocals. Also lets you hear more of a hip-hop aspect as far as the East Coast sounds bouncing around in the background. Now, that may be a little loud for the camera or for the YouTube mix, whatnot. I'm running it a little hot because I'd rather it be a little too loud than not loud enough. I'm done not being loud enough. To hell with that. So you can see right there in verse 3, like I said, that is to let the artist, I know that this doesn't sound like your modern day contemporary hip hop track. It kind of sounds old school, but it's got like a new school feel to it, and it's dangerously close to pop. And guess what? I just don't give a living fuck. I make the music that I like, and I'm going to continue to do that. So if I'm feeling the vibe, then I'm going to do what's best for me over that. And the only way for me to be me is to be me and be the best me that I can be. So all that other shit about worrying about what's hot and what's not, that's not floating with me. I'm going to bounce how I bounce. All right. We're going to go to the outro, and I kept that at 8 bars. Okay, so it ends with the little percussive pluck. It needs to be nudged over, I think, 1/16 note closer to the note before it, but that's fine. That's something I can do in 10, 15 seconds. I'm not worried about that. We're going to keep it moving, though, and what we're going to do right now is just go ahead and go into song mode. And I've got it laid out so you can see, okay, I got the intro, verse, hook, verse, hook, verse, hook, outro. Excuse me, got the hiccups. So I'm going to go ahead and play the entire song and let it play through. Now, I may turn it down a little bit because on the input, sometimes when you have that really, really deep bass, if you turn it up as loud as you want it, it's going to distort some. So I'm going to stay away from that. So the entire song may be just a little bit lower. But when I upload it on SoundCloud, when it's finished, it's different. I don't have to go through any of this audio video stuff. I can just go ahead and do it in high quality. But I'm going to go ahead and play the track. I should say the song now, the structured song. Remember all the way back to that first thing I played you with all those instruments playing at the same time. And this is, I would say, 97% finished, maybe a little mix and a couple little adjustments here or there, but it's 97% done, which means I can come in and sit down in 20 minutes and have this ready to record vocals. So when I go ahead, excuse me. When I go ahead and redo that outro, I think I'm gonna fix the first 4 bars of the 8-bar outro and take out. I think I'm gonna take out the strings altogether and just leave the plucky type bell and the chorus type sound of, like the choir. I got some effects on that too that I spent about 20 minutes on that. But that's what I'm gonna do with that. When I get done, when I get time, I will post it on SoundCloud. I know I have to find time to set up other accounts, to go on Spotify and whatever the new one. My son's like 24 and he was like, you got to be on this. If you're not on this, you're not. And I'm like, well, I am anyways, but okay, I'll get on that. So if I can find time, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, I'll try to set up those accounts so that I can start posting on those, the next weekend or the weekend after. I'll get my ducks in a row for that. For right now, honey, could you do me a favor? Could you please hit the stop button on there, or just hit the record button again? Thank you. I appreciate it. My beautiful wife's gonna help me out. Before you hit it, let me say, peace and love and blessings to everybody out there. You know who you are. If you're in my circle, you're getting love. I hope you do look these instrumentals up when I post them. They're not always there right when I say, but they are always there eventually. So make sure you go look them up, especially on SoundCloud. I'm just old school, so I just throw stuff up there and you can have it. So if you can record it, you can use it. I don't just hog it to myself and, get crazy with it. Peace and blessings. Love to everybody. Go ahead, honey. Thank you.